artificial intelligence particularly. So I'm sure that whatever I'm going to deliver in the next 30 minutes or so, I'm sure that this will give you some idea about the artificial intelligence and particularly its research aspects. And right, I'm sure that the slide is visible to all. If you are able to see, you can type yes maybe in the chat box, right? If nothing, if there is any issue, right? So whatever it is, right? So you type it in the chat box, right? So the moderator is available. He will be able to help you. So as usual, I request all the participants to unmute your mics and also turn off your videos, right? For the better clarity and for the better communication. I'm sure that my voice is audible to all, right? So
yes, sir.
No, sir, not seen. Slide is not seen.
Yeah.
If you can't able to see the slide, you can pin Saravanan says that sharing in your screen so that it will be visible to you.
I have shared the screen. I'm sure that it is visible to you now. Is it okay?
Yes,
are you
sir.
able to see the slides?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yeah, fine. Good. So thanks, Dileepan, for the nice introduction, right? So maybe we'll be talking a few things related to the artificial intelligence today, as as anyone, as all the fields or all the researchers as on day, they are talking much about this artificial intelligence, machine learning, and there are plenty of things, right? So we have to see that it works very well in all the disciplines. So these are all some of the thrust areas, we all might know, or you all might aware about it, particularly in line with the computer science or information technology. These are all some of the thrust areas that has been identified by the AICT even, right? Starting with the artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, right, till the cyber security. I'm sure that many of you are working on the research on many areas, and also many of you are offering the courses on these areas, right? So I'm just presenting about the thrust areas here, right? And to tell that the artificial intelligence is also one of the thrust area, right, in the industry 4.0, right? As you know that this industry 4.0, they're talking about automation, right, or intelligence or automation. So how to achieve that? We are talking about smartness and intelligence, all those things. So these are all some of the 8 thrust areas that's being given. So what we are trying to do today, it is about something related with artificial intelligence, right? There are few slides, I will talk about the introduction. Then I will get inside, the branches of artificial intelligence. Then maybe at the end, I will talk quite few applications of artificial intelligence. And also at the end, whatever, I want to really test all the participants, whether you really understood or not. So you'll find, around the 7 questions at the end of the presentation, which really test your knowledge about what what we discussed today. So this word artificial intelligence, I'm sure that the yes, we all need. Maybe when you are, during your masters, or some of you maybe in undergraduation, we all might have well versed, with the language prologue, right? We talked about, expert systems, a lot of things about artificial intelligence, right? So there are 2 aspects when we talk about artificial intelligence. There are 2 words here, right? So one side we talk about artificial, and another side we talk about intelligence, right? So artificial is one thing, which is made by the human, that what we do, we try to create it, right? Or the non-natural thing, right? Maybe, or maybe the robots or the machines, right? So, that is one thing, right? That there is nothing to talk much about the artificial, but whereas the intelligence comes, it is a vast topic that need to be discussed and debated much, right? So the intelligence means, the ability to understand or think, right? So how you are going to make the system or the software to think, right? How you are going to have this, Thank you. Okay. So when we talk about intelligence, there are many things. Right? So when we talk about intelligence, we are going to achieve this intelligence through the computational, right? So we are going to do some kind of computations, right? Maybe right. We are going to write some sort of programs, right? Through which we are going to make the system more intelligent. Of course, if you see that this artificial intelligence, we always talk about it. It's a branch of computer science, right? Then what we do here, right, is much about the intelligence. It matters now, right? What sort of programs you are going to do, how you are going to do, right? So some of them they say that it is something like your brains, like what we think, right? The human brains, and we would like that to get simulated in that environment, right? So when you develop a program, so it has to be processed like how how the human brain processes it, right? And of course, there is no debate on, or there is no discussion on which one is better, artificial intelligence or human intelligence, right? So we always prove ourselves with the better side. The human intelligence is always the best model than the computational process even. You see here, this slide it talks about the augmented intelligence. Of course, some of the researchers or some of the you know the corporates, they don't agree on the term artificial intelligence, right? They particularly the word artificial, they feel it is somewhat not proper to use it. What is the need of using the word artificial, right? So if you see the IBM is using something called augmented intelligence, right? It's something like augmenting the intelligence, right? So that's what they say, right? We have the human intelligence in one side, right, and we have the augmented intelligence on the other side. That is what the IBM talks about. I'm sure that we all agree on this. And the AI solution, what I was just showing it here, the AI comes in between now, right? So augmented intelligence, still there is a longer way to go. But whatever we are talking about now is not something really what the IBM is trying to do, right? So the augmented intelligence, of course, we may achieve it at a very shorter time. But if you see this AI, the solution comes in between. So we try to build the systems so that we try to move towards the augmented intelligence, right? These are the two broad areas of artificial intelligence. You see it, right? So there is something called a narrow artificial intelligence. Another side, if you see, there is something called general artificial intelligence, right? We call it as artificial narrow intelligence, and another side we talk about artificial general intelligence, right? So when we say intelligence or a program or something, right, which is artificial, what we do is something like a smart speaker, right? So we are talking about your Amazon Alexa or Apple Siri, right? There are many smart speakers which response our requests and which cater our needs. On the other side, we talk about self-driving cars, right? That seems to be a future. And another side, we talk about the web search nowadays, how it works, particularly the web search. We talk about ontologies, right? And a lot of things related to the web search, right? We talk, this everything comes under artificial narrow intelligence. Another side, if you see, it is a general intelligence. It is something which is broader in nature. So, that particular programs do anything that what the human can do, right? Like a robot, right? Or whatever the application that we are going to discuss at the end, right? So narrow intelligence where we want to be more specific, that is only for that particular application. Whereas if you make it general, right, that particular AI programs will do anything that what the human can do, right? So the broader classification is like this, right? One side is a narrow, another side is the general, right? So what is AI, of course, right? So, and it's as I was talking about, it's a field of computer science. Okay, there is nothing to worry much about. And second, they're talking about it is a field of study, something related to the cognitive science. Something, cognitive means, it is a mix of all, it's a study of, the linguistics or psychology or communication, right? All the things are related here, right? Your philosophy, right? Or it is a field of study of the neuroscience, right? You just see how the human brain works, and we try to build some models on it, right? So, that's what we say, right? We say that it is a biological computer, and that, we try to develop some kind of systems that, caters the needs of, a narrow application, or it can be a general application. Overall, it is about thinking humanly. That's what we, try to see it here, right? The cognitive science, as I was talking about, it is very hard to understand how the humans think. You know that, right? I don't know what I will think in the next, minute or tomorrow or whatever it is, right? It's right, very hard, right? So, if you want to develop a system similar to what the human beings are thinking or our brains, it's going to be really a challenging task, and we have a longer way to go. So we try to say that, this artificial intelligence is a scalable, right, where we try to go for automated insight extractions from unstructured and structured data, right? Of course, we try to concentrate on the component intelligence, right? And how do justify the component's intelligence here? There are two things here. One is about the data, that what you have it with you. So the data that what you have with you, right? And you should be able to pre-process that and apply some kind of techniques. What are the techniques that we are going to apply in the machine learning, right? Or some other techniques? Let us talk about it, right? But everything, the base is here the data, right? Sometimes the data means it may not be a real database. Sometimes the data means even it can be a program, right? It can be even a program. Program itself is the data, right? So that is what we talk about. The output is data in machine learning, right? The input is the program, and the output is data in machine learning, right? So we try to talk about the data much, and there are a lot of other disciplines which also involves, right, the artificial intelligence in it, right? So the data may be of in any format. It can be a structured format, or it can be a unstructured format. Fine. These are the things that what we were talking about, and what you might have heard so far, right? And we talked about search. We talked about breadth first search when we studied. We talked about A-star search. A lot of search algorithms we studied. Then even I'm sure that some of you will be remembering, you might have developed some sort of a small expert system using the Prolog, right? Some kind of an expert system. All these things were the older thing. Then what we are talking, why? What is the reason? Why this AI is again, it's like becoming another, an innings now. What we are going to do in it, that is what we are talking about here, the new AI, the new artificial intelligence one. So we try to talk about the agents. The agents are the core here in the new artificial intelligence. That is what we talk about, right? And I'm sure that, the agents, as all of you know, that the agents has three properties, right? The communication, the coordination, and cooperation. So any system that is going to communicate, right, so with you or among itself, and cooperate and coordinate. So these are the three major components, right? So when a particular system is going to do all these things on its own, I'm sure that it has some kind of intelligence. That is what we want to do it. So when you want to develop an agent, right, so it should have basically these three properties as I was talking about. So there is much research which is being carried out particularly in the architecture of the agent platforms, or collaboration of agents, or communication between the agents. So those who want to do research on the agents, I'm sure that there are a lot of things, right, which talks about agent communication, agent collaboration, agent coordination, right? So next we talk about the ontologies, right? Basically, it talks about the structure, right? So that there is a much, we talk about web content and a lot of data related to the web, right? So automatically we need to do something with the data that is available. Something we need to customize the structures and give it to the users. It look like something in the morning. Afternoon, when you log into your particular website, it may look something different, right? So the ontologies are something, very nicely. And number three is the machine learning and data mining. Of course, data mining, most of you might have done the research, or we are working on the data mining for more than, even 15 years. Much research is being carried out in data mining, right? So, but we would like to have that, the output of that to be used with the, some AI system. Of course, the machine learning and data mining complement each other, right? There is another new area, right? We talk about machine learning, right? There are plenty of things which we talk about, using the machine learning or using the data mining. And we talked about adaptive systems nowadays. The system should be able to adapt itself by learning by mistakes, right? Or by sort of training the systems. There are a lot of things we talk about, right? And nowadays, as you know, right, we are talking much about robotics, right? So even yesterday, right? So some of the students from IIT, they developed the robots as which will serve as the nurse to treat the COVID-19 patients, right? So and pop planning, we all use the GPS, right? Navigation systems, right? So the new AI, which talks about using the, effectively for the planning, path planning, search engines, how the search engines are more effective nowadays, and filtering it, right? Something like a recommendation system, right? We don't want the system to just give us some information, but instead, so we want, the system to give us some kind of recommendations, right? Some kind of, recommendations. So something like, which will give us some kind of a knowledge, or through that, some kind of feedback. Through that, we can improve upon, and with that feedback again, we can, reprogram it and see that it happens. And what is the new AI? Again, the current trend, the most demanding trends is all about, right? Again, the areas of the present current research, we talk about, natural language understanding. So that is a very important thing nowadays, right? So some of you may be working on natural language processing or speech processing, right? So again, there is a great demand for this set of peoples to work much on the recent AI, that what you're talking about. So natural language, understanding it, right? So whatever whatever language you give it as input, I want to, convert it into, multi languages, many languages, right? Tamil or Kannada or Malayalam or Hindi or Arabic, whatever it is, right? So we don't want to have this kind of issues at all, right? So many of the companies, particularly, the Huawei is working much on the natural language understanding, right? They talk about information retrieval, speech recognition. It is one of the other area which is coming very nicely, particularly about the AI second part, right? So they talk about using the artificial intelligence, particularly for the diagnosis, right? You can see that, there's a lockdown period even. There are many, workshops which is being conducted, particularly the machine learning workshops, right, to analyze the COVID-19 data. The COVID-19 data set is available. So many of the, companies or even the researchers, they are trying to do analysis on the COVID-19 data by using the machine learning, right? Then we try to talk about, the sensor interpretations, the data that we get from the sensors, right? Because, the IoT is coming very nicely, right? So again, it is one of the area, right? We talk about using the IoT everywhere, right? So we get the data, and how you are going to make this IoT again in a more smarter way. So making the working of IoT in a more smarter way, right? And okay, again, visual understanding of the results generated by the system. That is very important, right? Because my perception is something different. What the way in which I get the perception and you get is something different, right? So what we are going to do here, we are going to use some kind of new tools to even present it, right? And robotics is again another very good area which is coming very nicely, right? And these are the current areas of research. And what are all the approaches we use it? Something like we try to go for a knowledge-based approach, right? It is not something like a database or information-based. We just go with the knowledge, right? So we try to create intelligence, right? Automatically, we should be able to develop a system which will really take the knowledge, or sometimes it gives the knowledge. Again, we have to give back the knowledge to the system and develop an excellent an agent-based system or a smart system, right? We try to use ontologies, or we try to use some kind of a probabilistic models, right? Probabilistic models, we try to use it, right? So it may be a Bayesian networks, or it may be any fuzzy models or genetic algorithms, right? Or it can be any neural fuzzy systems. So there is a demand, this, the previous slide and this slide, talks about, the need, why, what is the reason, right? What is the reason? Why there is a, again, another second boom for the artificial intelligence? It is just because, the companies are concentrating much on these platforms, right? So starting with the, intelligent agents, search engines, and this now, and even presently, they're talking much about the, natural language understanding. Anything that what you do nowadays, right? So we end up with multiple languages, many languages, and we want the Amazon Alexa to understand, Tamil also, right, or English also, right, or Siri, Apple Siri, right. So not only English, but in all the languages, right. Or they talk about instant translator, right? Instant translator, right? You try to talk in the language in which you want and convert it in which you want immediately. So I don't want to get any, I don't want to get trapped when I go abroad or visit some other unknown places. So this is one, reason, right? Why we are talking about this AI, and again for the past say 1 or 2 years. You can see it here. This slide talks about the two types of artificial intelligence systems. There is a type 1 artificial intelligence system and type 2. Of course, right? So where we are now, we are now in type 1. In type 1, there are again 3 broad areas. One is called a narrow AI. Second one is called a general AI. Third one is a strong AI, right? Right. So this is a type 1 systems. So already we talked about narrow AI and general AI. I have given you some problems, right? So narrow AI, it is dedicated for one task. You can see in the bottom of the slide. So narrow AI is dedicated for one task. It is like a self-driving cars, as I was talking about, search engines, right? Dedicated for one task. It will not do any other job, right? And second, we want the systems to perform like a human. That is what we were talking about even in the movies, right? 2.0 or many movies, right? So perform like human, right? And finally, there is something like a super AI. The scientists are predicting, right? They call it as a strong AI, right? Strong AI. They talk about intelligent, thing, right? Intelligent than the human beings, right? Intelligent than the human beings. I don't know, right? Really, right? So whether we'll really take the risk or not, intelligent than the human, the super AI they talk about. Even you might have watched, giving this kind of, what can I say, more intelligence to the systems, or go for super AI, even in the movies, as I was talking about 2.0, or even the first part, so you know the impact. So when you try to, create a super AI system, sometimes it may overtake and it may destroy us even. So we have to be much, much careful about doing some research on this. And now we are in the narrow AI. Where we are now? Now we are in the narrow AI. Of course, just we are moving forward to general AI and super AI. They're talking about, and it is still a question mark, and it depends on many countries have not allowed them to do research on super AI. It is one about the type 1. That is what we talk about. Another side, we talk about type 2. We talk about using the AI in reactive missions, or particularly, or maybe in the nuclear reactors with the limited memory, right? So and we should be able to understand the theory of mind, how it works. We talk about biological computing, bio-inspired computing, right? So the self-awareness is very important here. You should be able to aware about the particular environment, see that you are able to read the mind, right? And design the systems. So that the type 2, which is only a supportive thing for the type 1, right? So the type 2 knowledge is enough for you to see that you are good in understanding or designing a system in narrow AI or a general AI, or it can be even a stronger AI, right? Fine. These are quite few applications of AI. where we can use these applications, where we can use it, or some of the applications, or some of the approaches. You can see it here, starting with machine learning, right? So we talk about neural networks, we talk about robot, we talk about intelligent agents, we talk about deep learning, right? So pattern recognition. These are all some of the approaches we try to use it, right? So there are quite few applications that I have talked. All the things we can fit into any one of these things, right? There is much thing here. There is one thing which is very important here is the machine learning, right? So the machine learning is something which is it's acting as a backbone for the artificial intelligence. I'm sure that if you choose any one of these approaches, I'm sure that you will be able to end up with right some good artificial intelligence systems, right? These are all some of the related fields that I would like you to just listen it, right? Right. So if you see just here the outside circle, it talks about the whole computer science. So we talk about the artificial intelligence next. The artificial intelligence is the part of the computer science we talk about. And this artificial intelligence, it uses the machine learning models, right? The computer science and artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence, it has the machine learning, right? So artificial intelligence, it includes the machine learning also, right? So in the machine learning, we have three types, namely supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. We'll be talking about that in the next slide. And inside that, we have the deep learning. That is what the people are talking about nowadays, right? Deep insight to the, finding the patterns, deep insight to the particular data. It can be a structured or unstructured data, right? You just see the way how these things are arranged, right? So the whole superset here is a computer science, right? So the superset is computer science. The rest of all the subsets, fine, that's fine. But the artificial intelligence plays a major role there, right? Then comes your machine learning. Then comes your deep learning, right? Then there is another circle which is in the bottom, which talks about data science. That is what we are talking much about data science, data analytics even, right? So the data science, if you see, the data science is covering the complete aspects. There are something which you can do in deep learning with the data science. There are something that you can do with the machine learning and data science, or it can be artificial intelligence and data science, or it can be even we talk about data analytics. We talk about using the data science in the computer science. So this diagram gives you a very clear picture about the way in which the whole scenario is all about, right? Starting with computer science and artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, data science. Now, the very important thing that as a computer science faculty or researcher that you have to think about here is, right, the machine learning and deep learning models, right? So you are going to develop some kind of a machine learning model or a deep learning model, right? So our, as a researcher in computer science, our contribution should be something to the domain, right? What is your contribution to the domain? What you are going to do for the machine learning, right? So are you going to develop some techniques or in machine learning or in deep learning? That is very important here. Next comes the data science. Data science is all in all, right? So it is not something which is which the data science, because it is a data, right? It depends on all the fields, right? It can be even the things which is not artificial intelligence. That is what this is the circle. Data science is connected with all the four circles: computer science, AI, machine learning, and deep learning. Right? So if you just see this slide, which will give you a very clear picture about the overall artificial intelligence, and many of you are working in artificial intelligence in many other areas, right? So what we are trying to talk about here is about, one side, or long time before, we were talking about deduction, reasoning, and problem solving using the artificial intelligence, right? So that is what the leftmost thing talks about: deduction, reasoning, problem solving, searching, the old AI that what we talk about. Next, we talk about the knowledge representation. That is also very important. How you are going to represent the knowledge, or visually, represent the knowledge, and perception, I was talking about perception. That is very important, right? And the third thing talks about, right? So the machine learning, right? Natural language processing and the social intelligence, right? So we'll come to that very more clearly. Then comes your planning, right? All the things that what I was talking about, using many applications like medical diagnosis and GPS, many systems. And finally, there is something called computer vision, right? Right. Computer vision is something like a robotics, right? Is one example, right? So you just see where you are now. If you are working in robotics, you are in the first stage. If you're working on the knowledge representation, you are on the top, right? So then comes the, the very important things, right? So when we talk about machine learning, right, it's very important here. What we concentrate much on the artificial intelligence machine learning. That is what this figure gives you a very clear idea about it, right? In the computer science, or in the artificial intelligence, the machine learning takes the major part, right? So we'll talk much about the machine learning, or we'll be using much of the machine learning concepts in the artificial intelligence. That is what we talk about here, right? So we talk about motion and manipulation in robotics. We have the natural language processing, NLU, that what I was talking about. Then we have the social intelligence. And what's it in the machine learning here, right? So, machine learning plays a major role, right? There are three things here. As you all aware, there is something called a supervised learning, there is something called unsupervised learning, and there is something called a reinforcement learning, right? So supervised learning is something like, you try to learn with the help of a supervisor, we all are the teachers, right? We are teaching the students, right? Right? So the teachers, there is a supervisor. The supervisor will guide them to learn, right? So, there is a general definition. Technically, if you see, right, the machines will be able to learn, learn by using the labels that is available. We talk about attributes and all. So, the data may have a label in, right? So the supervised learning systems will be able to, learn by using the labels that is available, right? Whereas in the case of unsupervised learning, there is no label, right? There is no label. There is no label associated with the data, right? You just give the data, right? You just give the data. Number one, supervised, learning, who they are, and both the ways we know it. But unsupervised learning, you just give the raw data as the input. The system has to process it, and it will tell you that the data is something like, this data talks about a student, or this data talks about a cat, or this data talks about some other object, right? So supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Next, there is something called reinforcement learning, right? Reinforcement learning is again, it's again making you learn, right? Reinforcing, making you, right? So first, the system will give some results, and we try to give again some other feedback, right? We try to make the system to learn, right? Reinforcingly, right? Compulsorily, yes, you have to do that, right? So assume that I am asking you to come with a cup of water, right? So I'm asking you to come with a cup of water, right? So as you come to me with a cup of water, right, I expect the water to be full, right? Right, and the particular, cup of water should be, closed it, something like that, right? But when you come with the water, when I ask you to come with the water, you may come with half a cup of water, or sometimes with less than that, right? So what I will do is I will ask you to again go back, right? Again, you will tell that, no, I need a cup of water, in the sense full cup of water, bring it back, right? Then again, you will come back to me, you will say, yes, sir, there is a full cup of water, it is available. Then again, I will say, no, it is not closed, right? So you just go and close it and bring it. So what I will do is I will reinforce, I will force the users to learn. I will force the program to learn. That's all it's all about, right? So, I'm not here to talk much technical. I'm just here to talk about some learning, right? Something, the technologies that the artificial intelligence, whatever the tools and technology involves. And if you see supervised learning, there are two things again here. There is one thing called a decision tree learning. Another one is called association tree learning. Those who are much into the data mining, you know that, right? So we have the association, and classification, right? Association, the K, your a priori algorithm or a decision tree, some of the algorithms you are using. So if you want to find an association between two items, you should know what items you are using. That is what the supervised learning is all about, right? So supervised learning, you should know if you want to find out the association between one item, how the bread is associated with the butter, right? So here I have a label called bread. I have a label called butter, right? So if you don't say this is butter, this is bread, the system it doesn't know it, right? Like the same classification. I want to classify the students into two, like gender, male, female, or students who passed or not passed, right? Or the students who have studied in a Tamil medium or an English medium. You want to do some kind of a classification, right? So when you want to do that kind of classification, so you should know the label, you should know the attribute name, right? So where the supervised learning plays a very important role here. So one side we have the decision tree, another side we have the association rule, and also we have something called inductive logic programming, and we also have the support vector machines, SVMs. These are all some of these concepts that is available, some tools, some technologies that is available in supervised learning. You can think about using any one of these tools, right? So in the supervised learning we have 4 tools, right? Decision tree, association rule, inductive logic, and support vector. So it is up to you to make use of any one of this model. It is it is up to your what objective you defined it. That is very important, right? And next we have the unsupervised learning. In the unsupervised learning, it is like simply clustering, right? Grouping of the data, right? So you just try to group it. So all the odd numbers one side, even numbers one side. That's all you know. You are given some numbers. What do? Right? You know that it is a number. That's all, right? Whether it is it is a number. So you don't know whether it is what kind of number it is, what it is all about. When you are given some set of numbers with you, what do you do with that, right? So we try to group it, right? Cluster it. So all the odd numbers in one side and all the even numbers in one side, isn't it? We try to find the similarity between that, right? We try to find the similarity between that. How those 2 clusters or odd numbers, even numbers, or numbers greater than 2, or number divisible by 3. Some criteria you will use it. That's all, right? Right? You don't know what is that number is all about. What that number deals about. That number 10 numbers that what I'm giving to you, it may be marks, or it may be some some other it may take some other meaning also. So that's what we talk about, using the clustering here. Again, those who are into data mining, I'm sure that you know much about clustering also. Another side, we have the sparse dictionary learning. It is one way, right? Is one way of it is one of the tool that is available for the unsupervised learning. Next, we do have the genetic algorithms. A lot of GAs are available for the unsupervised learning. And finally, we have the reinforcement learning, right? So reinforcement learning, right? So example like Bayesian networks, neural networks, and manifold learning. Manifold learning is again we try to assume that you have some 100 attributes, and you try to take the first 10 attributes and you try to map that 10 rows with another 10 rows, like that, So folding it. And we talk about deep learning nowadays, right? Deep learning, again, it's a part of machine learning where we try to again identify the more or intrinsic meaning in the data. We try to make the system to learn, reinforcement, make the system to not just give the results. It just gives you the results, but also will give you some kind of the knowledge till you achieve your objective. Don't leave that, right? So these are all some of the things that what I was talking about. I'm sure that this 2 slides have given real knowledge about what the data, what this artificial intelligence is all about, and what the other related fields like machine learning, deep learning. And this slide talks about the overall thing, right? If you are doing the research in natural language processing, you should know where you are. If you are talking something about robotics, you should know what you are. And if you are talking something on machine learning, there are 3 parts: supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement. And if you're working on data mining, you should know where you are, where you can fit yourself, right? Either in supervised or unsupervised, or sometimes in the reinforcement learning also. We use the neural networks or Bayesian networks even in data mining, right? So there are many things here, right? And all the things put together, the complete data that what we get, we use it in the data sciences, right? So I'm sure that these two slides have given you some knowledge about artificial intelligence and the related technologies. Am I right? So if there is some problem, let me know. If you say, if you feel it is good, you can type yes in the chat box. If you feel these two slides or you are able to gain some knowledge from these two slides and also the artificial intelligence, right? So please type yes in the chat box. Good, right? So there are many yes. Good. Fine. Good. Thank you very much. Fine. So we talked about artificial intelligence overall, and we just talked about it. Now you can see the researchers or the faculty, right? You want to implement this, right? So you want to implement this. So you want to develop some kind of artificial intelligence systems. There are many frameworks that is available, many languages available, right? There's one such language is the Python. We talk about Python everywhere now, even the school students. And even in our college, we have introduced Python to all the students, and now it's for all, right? Even it's all the engineering students are studying the Python. Why, right? What is the reason for using the Python in AI particularly, right? The reason behind it is very simple. So this Python, it has a very large ecosystem of libraries, right? So there is something called a scikit, right? There is something called a scikit. Scikit is one of the very good library available in the Python that is used for the machine learning. If you want to develop some machine learning systems, you just use that library. That's enough, right? And machine learning has plenty of algorithms, right? Supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement learning. We talked plenty of things, right? So there is, there is no need of you to write a coding to implement the algorithms. All the algorithms are being already available in the, the scikit package. It is one of the library. Then we have something called Pandas. Pandas is again a good library that is available in Python, right? That is for the data structure analysis, right? 2D arrays, 3D arrays, lot of things. And there are three, libraries available for deep learning, right? Keras, TensorFlow, Caffe. These are all the three libraries exclusively that is available for you to implement the deep learning models, right? And everything is okay, fine. Then whatever you have done, you want to see the results, right? There is something called a matplot library, matplotlib, the fourth one. This is for creating the 2D plots for visualization. We are talking about information representation or knowledge representation. Excellent tool that we have. We have something called natural language toolkit for computational linguistics. It's another very vast area, right? Natural language processing. So we have an exclusive library in Python which will do all this job. Then we have something called a scikit image. Those who are well versed the image processing, or those who are working on image processing, you can think about using Python for image processing, right? Then we have something called PyBrain. It is one of the neural network models. If you want to use neural networks, there is a reinforcement learning, right? Reinforcement learning, whatever we are talking about. That reinforcement learning, we can think about using PyBrain. Or if you want to do simply statistics, mean, median, mode, if you want to do stats models, this is available. So these are all some of the 8 great libraries. Apart from that, there are plenty of libraries available. Okay, these are the 8 excellent libraries that is available in Python. So it's very easy for you to run it, right? That's what the second point I have given. The entry barrier is very low. There is no need of you to talk much about technical here. Don't worry about it. You should know what algorithm to use it. That's all. Don't worry about how to write the coding for algorithm. It's already being done. It's already being done. The libraries are available. And it is a platform independence, of course, right? It is platform independence. Whatever you write in Windows and convert to Linux or Mac or whichever it is, you go ahead, right? And visualization options are plenty in Python, right? Because, the last point, if you see, it is an open source, right? And community support is available. You will get plenty of community supports. One such very good example is GitHub. I don't know how many of you are using GitHub. GitHub is again a repository, right, of which is used by the developers to share the coding, right? So you get the data set, you get the coding, the complete library is available in GitHub, right? So these are the two things that is available, right? The open source, being the open source, and which will support the community support is available, right? So this particular, the libraries are, getting updated every day, even, every day even. That's why there is a great demand for the Python, right? So once you know the Python, of course, right? Let us not talk about using the Python for as another language which will support like C++ or Java. Not like that. You can do all these things. Whatever you do in C++, whatever you do in Java, you can do in Python also. That's fine. But the another beauty of Python is, Python is not the compiler. Python is an interpreter, right? So the long time before we might have used interpreter. So Python is an interpreter. You just write one line of your coding and you can generate, you can execute, right? It's a line by line, line by line. It is very easy for you to develop, and it is like a machine learning, what we talk about, right? So this slide talks about what this Python is, what is the reason, why do we use Python, right? Is it clear till this stage? If you say yes, you can type yes in the chat box, so that I have another 7 questions to ask you, right? So you can take a piece of paper and whatever questions I ask, you just give the answer. Okay. So I can see many yes in the chat box. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Fine. Now I'll ask you 7 questions. Whatever I was talking so far, I'll ask you 7 questions. Of course, I will give the answers immediately. Don't worry about it. But I want you to self-appraise yourself, whether you are correct or not. Right? I will give you some examples. You just tell me whether it is AI or not. Right? Number 1. We talk about the first exercise now. Okay? Right? Okay? Is this AI or not? We all are comfortable with the spreadsheets. We use it for calculating the sums, and we use it for the functions on the given data. Do you think that the spreadsheet that we are using is an AI system? What your answer should be? Your answer should be yes or no or kind of. If you feel like, sir, it is like an AI system, sir, you can use the third as the answer. What is your answer? You please note down your answer. Right, the spreadsheet you are using, right? Very simple. The spreadsheets that you are using, right? So just recollect what we discussed today and give the answer. Spreadsheet that calculates sums and other predefined functions on given data, right? Have you written the answers in the sheet? Can you say yes in the chat box? I don't want the answer in the chat box, but you can just say simply, right? Fine. Right, now see the answer is. Right? The answer is no. It is not an AI system. Right? The outcome is simply determined by the user specified formula. There is no AI is needed here. Right? So the spreadsheet is not an AI system, or it is not also a kind of AI system. Right? So is it okay? Can I go to the next question now? Exercise 2. Are you ready? Fine. Just see it. Predicting the stock market by fitting a curve to post data about stock prices. Is it an AI system? What is your answer? Yes, no, or kind of? Sometimes it may be even a combination also. More than one also. The answer can be more than one also, or one. It is up to you. You just write your answer. Right? Predicting the stock market by fitting a curve. Be very careful. There are 2 words I made it as red here. One is the prediction. Another one is called the fitting. Be careful. Before you write the answer, be careful. Right? Fine. This is the answer now. Right? The answer is yes or no or kind of. The answer is all the 3. Right? If you see, the fitting is simply, a curve is not really an AI. Fitting is not an AI. But whereas the word prediction comes, right? There are many things, right? So we use the AI for the prediction, right? We get the machine learning. We use AI, right? So, it's a yes. Some of you may say, sir, if you just simply only a curve, so it is not an AI, right? But why we are using all the things predicting the stock market by fitting the curve, right? But there are so many different curves to choose from. Which curve you are going to use it? Which curve? Right? Even if there is a lot of data to constrain them, that one needs machine learning or AI to get the useful results. Number 3, we all are using the GPS navigation system, right? In some way or other, we all are using the Google Maps or Apple Maps. A GPS navigation system for finding the fastest routes. So do you think that it is an AI or not? Right? Shall I give the answer? Right. Again, right? Right. So what you can say is, again, yes. Some of you just simply say no or kind of. All the 3 is correct, because you can say yes, okay, right? It's a prediction, sir. We want to predict the route. Sometimes you may just go for a short route or a single route. There is no prediction. There is only one route is available. There is no prediction at all. Or some of you even can argue upon that it is like a kind of system. It is not completely, a sort of an AI system, right? So the system is able to help you to predict it. Yes. Sometimes the route may be very short or only one route is available. It just gives you the results, right? A to B, destination A to B. Kind of, some of you may say. So that's why it's all the 3, right? So that's why, right? If you say yes or no or kind of, the answer is here. Number 4, right? It is like a music recommendation system, such as Spotify that suggests, we have something called Spotify, right? I'm sure that some of you may be using that. So this particular system which will suggest your music based on the user's listening behavior. So what are all the musics or songs you are listening? Based on that, the system will be able to predict and give you the results. Is it an AI system or not? Even I used one word now when I was talking about this. Exercise number 4. Yeah, music recommendation system such as Spotify. Spotify is a system. It's a recommendation system. I'm sure that some of you will be using that. Yes. The answer is yes. Right? Because it is completely learning. The system learns from the users. Right? So, by the users, listening behavior. What are the songs you are listening, what it is, everything. Number 5. We talk about big data nowadays. So the big data, store solutions, it stores huge amount of data. It can be images or video and streams to many users at the time, right? We talk about storage of the data. Is this an AI system or not? Or is it a kind of AI system? What is your answer? Exercise number 5. Right? It is just a storage. So the answer is no here. It is not an AI system because it is simply a storing and retrieving of the data. I'm sure that you all will agree for this, right? And this system is neither adaptive or autonomous, right? Adaptive and autonomous, if you see, these are all the features of the AI system, right? We talked about using the machine learning, right? Adaptive or autonomous. Another question for you. Photo editing features such as brightness and contrast in applications such as Photoshop. We all are using the, even in our mobile phones, right? You increase the brightness or contrast of the applications in such applications like a Photoshop or any image editor tool. So do you think that it is an AI? What is your answer? Yes or no? There are many yes. There are many yes. Right? So it is not an AI system, of course. It is not an AI system. So adjustments such as color balance or whatever it is neither adaptive nor autonomous. What we do, we try to do something. right? Because we are adjusting now, the tomorrow the system will not adjust on its own, right? So the main thing here is about the adaptiveness or the autonomous. We talked about the agents, right? Coordination, communication, cooperation, right? It is very important. So, the system is not doing that automatically. You do that, right? Last question for you, right? I'm sure that some of you may be using some applications like a Prisma, right? So that the Prisma, this application, which will take a photo and transform it into a different art style, right? It is an application which will take the photo as an input and which will convert the photo into variety of formats, right? Variety of styles even. What is this? Is it an AI or not? Is the last question. An application which will just take the photo as the input and convert it into a different art style. The answer is yes, because it has, there are a lot of things involved in it, right? So it has to match the style, and the system should be adaptive, right? And it will convert your photo into some of the different format in the sense, some of the different style, different art styles I'm talking about, right? Different art style, it is very important, right? So mapping your style with mapping the face with another particular artwork is not something which is easy. It is an AI work. So I'm sure that this 7 questions has triggered you in some way or other about understanding the artificial intelligence, right? So I'm sure that the short presentation that what we had today has given you some knowledge about why we are talking much about the AI nowadays, and what are the approaches that is available in the AI that you can think of, and what is the relationship between the AI, machine learning, deep learning, and data sciences. And I have given you quite a few exercises which will really help you in practice upon. And finally, I talked about the Python. What is the reason why using the Python for the artificial intelligence? So with this, we are winding up the presentation of this short session, right? So if you have any questions, you can contact me. So with the contact details that is available, maybe in the first slide I have given my contact details. You can just note down my contact details. You can talk to me, or my website even is available. You can visit my website for more details, or also. So if there are a few questions, we can take few questions now. Only
Participants, you can just post your questions in the chat box so that Professor can answer your questions. Someone is doing the presentation, I think so. Please come out of the presentation.
That's fine. So some of them are talking about how to use the AI in the rural development, right? Particularly in the social sciences that professors are talking about. Of course, it is completely an application part. Yes, there is a very great demand for applying the AI in the rural, development. You get, you try to gather the data. So try to apply some kind of machine learning models. Of course, the supervisory models. You can think about using some of the supervisory machine learning models that is available to generate the results. Of course, the social sciences, you might be using some, package like SPSS, but you can think about using Python also. So whatever you do in SPSS, most of them, will can be done in the the Python also. So there is a question something about is AMOS and SPSS comes under AI. Of course, we can think about, right? It's of course these are the two separate things, but but this comes in the Python. These are all some of the statistical packages. Some of the things. Yeah. Any more questions? If you have any questions, you can type it in the chat box. Good. So those who want to do some research on these topics, you can be in touch with me for doing some research or working on some funded projects on applying the machine learning using Python. Okay, thank you very much for all of you for attending this, webinar today. So if you have any more questions, I'm sure that we'll be able to interact with you through the emails or my WhatsApp number. You can talk to me always. So thank you one and all. Over to Mr. Dileepan for the concluding remarks.
Saravanan, sir, one minute, sir. Sir, could you please close the PPT, sir?
Yes.
And some other is also presenting. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I have stopped the sharing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
God is good.
Fine.
Sir, you're hearing? You can able to hear me?
Yes. Fine, Dileepan.
Okay. So actually, it is the right time what SAR has linked up. But actually, SAR was planning to give this integrating of research in an ICT perspective, but suddenly he has changed artificial intelligence. But the moment when he changed, I was astonished. But it is actually the need of the hour, because nowadays everyone, we know the buzzword: artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, data analytics, big data analytics, business analytics, and much more things. All these are the buzzword what we are using right now. And telling about this artificial intelligence, it has both advantages as well as disadvantages. So we have a number of applications of artificial intelligence, what Professor Saravanan has informed us. So one of such thing is in our day-to-day daily life, we are using it. See, previously when we are putting a password for a mobile, no. So when you are using the button phone, we used to click the star and then unlock the lock button to unlock our mobile phone. Later we have a password, then we have a fingerprint, and of course now we have a face recognition. So that is, I hope so. That is, am I correct, Professor Saravanan, sir?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And other speech recognition is there, robotics is there, and one of the hotel in Coimbatore itself has started serving the customers with robotics. And you have one institution, I hope St. Joseph, I think so, it is in Bangalore actually. It is actually a school, and the school is teaching through robots. They have a memory chips. If they put a memory chip, the robot will teach physics, and if they change it to another thing, it will teach computer science. See, I don't know how many of you believe it or not. This artificial intelligence is actually the need of the hour. What Professor Saravanan sir has gave a very good introduction as an overview of this artificial intelligence. If time permits, we'll have much more deeper insights into this artificial intelligence in the coming days with the help of Professor. Because I don't know how many of you have came across with this. 2027, it is going to be a very difficult time period for all the professors, for all the teaching fraternity. The sense is the new education policy, it is coming up with removing the faculty and going to make with this artificial intelligence, because the robotics is going to, robots are going to handle the classes. Again, it is a very tough thing for us. That is one of the disadvantages what I felt, because this artificial intelligence, though it is make human life easier, again it replaces a human, and thereby it creates an unemployment problem also when we are talking about the sides of the human. But even this artificial intelligence, we can apply, as Professor has rightly said, we can apply it in all streams. Mathematicians can apply it, a computer science students can apply it, a business management students can apply it. So all graduates can come across with applications of artificial intelligence. When integrating this artificial intelligence into the business management, the sales predictions can done with this AI. Am I correct, Professor?
Yes, of course. No, we can use the AI in all the areas. Not only in AI is for all. It is not only for the science. It's for management, commerce, or education, or literature. Right? There are many areas, which we can think about it.
So let's start. Even we have people from all disciplines who have entered into this learning platform. So try something, do something by integrating this artificial intelligence into your research, because we know smart car, driverless smart car, that is also one application of this AI. So let's move on with integrating this artificial intelligence into research. If you need any help, you can contact Professor Saravanan sir, who is always available to us to clarify our doubts and to take us to another level. So he has an international experience too. So definitely he'll help, I think so. So concluding, really the session was very nice, sir. It is actually an eye-opener for, I hope, for all the participants. So on behalf of the Dr.SNSRCAS management, faculty members, research coordinator, and on behalf of the participants and my own behalf, I thank Professor Saravanan, sir, for taking much of your efforts and time in spending us and making this session more informative and highly productive. I hope all the participants will get to know more about this artificial intelligence, and they'll be pinging you on your chat box, I think so. So we'll hope the best part from your side, from your end, to get help to the participants to move to the next level of success. Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Thank you, participants.
Thank you once again. Thank you.
There are some couple of instructions for the participants. Kindly, please, whenever you're logging into this platform, log in 10 minutes before, so that it will help us to get to know more about the things, because if you are getting late, it is not making you to get enter into this platform. I hope Dr. Uma Mageshwari ma'am has joined with us. She has some technical issues today. Uma ma'am. Uma ma'am. Uma ma'am, please kindly unmute your audio, ma'am, so that you can. Uma ma'am. Okay. So that is one of the kind requests from the organizing part. 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes area, please join us. From tomorrow onwards, we have planned to do a live streaming in the YouTube also. So if participants, if you can't able to enter into this platform, you need not worry on this. I'll share the live stream link also on the YouTube, so that you can view the YouTube simultaneously when the things is going here. Even you can post your questions over there in the YouTube, so that your questions will be get answered by the resource person. And another important instruction is, yesterday when I was at the night, when I was putting it in the mail, the link and everything, I found it again with a couple of instructions which I told earlier. Again, we are finding difficult, because most of the people know the first letter of the, say for example, if it is Dilipan, the first letter in our mailbox is D actually, but they are putting it as capital D. So again, it is bouncing. The mail what we are sending is again bouncing to us. So kindly have a note of it when you are entering your mail ID, in particularly in the Google Forms and at gmail.com. So dot everything, you put it correct. Don't leave a space over there, because in Google Forms it will accept. But the moment when you are copying all your email IDs and when you are posting it in the email, when we are sending you across the email, the link, it is again bouncing to us. And that's what a problem. Most of the participants can't able to make it out today. So my humble request is, check on your name, either your institution, your location, that is secondary actually. But primary thing is your name and your email ID and your WhatsApp number. Okay, so these three things are highly primary things. So make sure that you are giving the right thing, so that it will facilitate us for the smooth conduct of the programs. So tomorrow we have another session. So it deals with exclusively for the disciplines of commerce and management. So what are the new avenues available in taking research in commerce and management disciplines? We are including all the participants who are registered. We are not sitting on the disciplines part. So people those are interested to know more about the research. Okay, maybe you can think that from your part it is only for commerce and management, but somewhere another way it will help you also when you're dealing with your computer applications or computer science and whatsoever it may be. So see, today we have exclusively for computer science researchers, but the thing, see, artificial intelligence, it's play a vital role in all the field, in all the disciplines. So really it is an eye opener for people those who are from various disciplines. So kindly make use of this opportunity. And coming Saturday we are going to have a workshop for research webinar series for Tamil researchers. What are the new avenues in doing research for Tamil literature? So if you have your friends of Tamil who belongs to Tamil disciplines, kindly intimate them to register. All this registration link, everything I'll share you in the WhatsApp. Kindly make use of it. Thank you, professors. Thank you, research scholars. Have a nice day. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello? 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 Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Siliban sir.